Good morning, delegates.
Hi, Carla. I've got both my computers up and running. I'll be listening.
Okay, good deal. Thanks, Bunny.
And you'll ping me when you want me.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. Or Bunny, if there is a point in time where you guys take a break or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's scheduled, unfortunately, for like noon. This is a 4-hour meeting.
Woo. Okay.
Yeah, 10 to 2. Take me out and shoot me now.
I know it. Good grief.
Especially because we only have, I think it'll go faster. We only have 50 amendments.
Yeah. Yep. You might be out of there in 3 hours.
Yes. Oh, we can only hope.
Yes, exactly.
All right, I'm gonna mute this in the background now.
Okay. All right. Does everybody who's on see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Right. I'm going to wait probably till about 3 minutes after, and then we'll get started with whomever is participating.
Oh, I gotta turn on.
Hope everybody has a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you drink. I think this meeting, we could be out in 90 minutes if we all behave.
Well, it's raining, so no big deal.
That is a good point. We had our dose of sunshine yesterday, right?
Is by definition
Thank you.
disproportionate impact. They don't
All right,
acknowledge,
I'm going to go ahead and mute
don't acknowledge it in.
Ann. I think I hear Jordan Crowley in the background there. Our debate committee for our 34th rep role is working currently, as of this morning about 8:30, on the format for the debate. So Ann Martin has a couple of things going on at the same time. Along with, well, Jordan is also a delegate. Chris Porter is also a delegate. Ted Barker is also a delegate. So they're all doing triple duty.
They could have all stayed. They're
That's
just
true.
walking out the door. So,
Okay.
and actually Chris was the only one who said he was going to hook up. And
Okay.
So sorry about that.
No problem.
But we just had a very good 1-hour meeting talking about the questions for the debate.
Awesome. Thank you, Ann.
Switch gears.
There are not many people that I would trust to do that without my participation. So thank you. Too many things going on. All right, let's see what our time check is here. Okay, we are over time to start, so I will bring us to order here. We've got about, let's see, 9 folks on the call. I expected about 10, so that's pretty good. This is our 4th meeting. Actually, I'm going to also put everybody on mute for right now. Hearing lots of background noise. Okay, it's our 4th meeting. We have successfully run through our platform amendments work, which was substantial. Thank you all for participating in that. I worked at the very last minute to take on some additional amendments from other LDs who had some overflow, and as it worked out, everybody got what they had hoped to, and so we submitted the 39 that we had. All sorts of topics, and I was really proud of the work that we did there. And I know that Bunny, who is actually tag teaming her platform state committee responsibility this morning is sitting in on one of the subcommittees whose job is to, I guess, go through all of the submitted resolutions in a particular area of the platform. And I think there was like over 1,000 submissions, pretty crazy amount of work, but they have a lot of people that are working today and in the next couple of weeks to get all that taken care of. So great work, everyone, on that. We are moving on to resolutions. We had our submission period, which ended on May 6th. We got 5 resolutions. And so today's work will be to really allow people to speak to the resolutions, a little bit of debate on each of them, and then we'll go into a delegate voting period. I have a form, so we'll go through our, let me go through the process for today. Actually, that's on the next slide, sorry. So we'll go through our process today, and then we'll be actually taking a vote on a form. And again, I'll get into that further on today. And then our work will be complete and we'll be ready to attend virtually or in person convention on the 25th. Very exciting. Here comes one more person. So we got to 10. I'm good. So today we will talk a little bit about the process. I'll get a little deeper into that. We'll do our resolution presentations, 5 of them. We'll have some time to debate for and against each of those resolutions. And then we'll spend a couple minutes at the end. If you have any questions on what's next, you might know as much as I do, but I'll try to answer. We have a little bit of housekeeping to do as well. Just want to remind everybody of some dates, and then we'll be done for the day. So first, moving on, Sarah, welcome. Moving on into the overview. So we have 5 resolutions submitted. We can only submit 2. I'm actually going to show you a document. We won't get into all of the details of it, but the King County chairs are getting together and we are collaborating so that if any LD does not have 2 to submit, we may be able to give or gift one of our resolutions over to a different LD so that we can get more in than our 2. We're also collaborating to make sure that we don't have duplicates. So as an example, one of our 5 was submitted also by another LD. So we're going to make sure that we don't waste, either of us really waste an opportunity there and submit duplication. So we are working in the background on that. We are going to start in a moment here with the resolutions authors presenting those resolutions, sort of taking us through. I don't want you to read it. I want you to just kind of give us the high level of what it is and what it means. And then also, obviously, it's your opportunity to sell it to the delegates here. I have also submitted the link to the data that you submitted on your form with your rationale, your written rationale as well. So delegates will also have that as well to review. After we do the presentations, then I'm going to go one by one, and we're going to spend up to 10 minutes on each of the resolutions, and we'll go back and forth, for, against, for, against. If there's no against, that's fine too, but we're gonna talk up to 10 minutes for each of the resolutions. And again, that's going to be, let's get out anything we want to discuss on those resolutions, any of the details, so that everyone on the call at least, and also I have this being recorded as well, so that everyone has the details as to why you should vote for any particular resolution. And welcome to Chris Porter. Rachel, you have a question?
Yes, I wanted to know if there are opportunities. It's not that I'm against any one of these resolutions, but there were a couple of like technical or grammatical things in just specifically one of the resolutions, and I it was Randy's, and I don't see that he's here, and so,
He's not going to be here today. I invited him to come to present, but he had something else going on.
well, does that mean that we are not able to address these? And they're very technical. I'm not asking that he change any of the content or subject matter, but
Sure. You're talking about technical editing, and yes, we
yes.
can do that. I don't want to spend, I want to kind of
No,
get
it's
all
very
of the
short.
debate out first, and we'll
Sure.
talk through the merits of the resolutions first.
Yeah.
Once we're complete with that, if there's any sort of editing, grammatical kind of stuff in there, we can do that.
Great. Thank you.
And I think I believe, I'm fairly sure that everyone is here on the 4 resolutions. A representative, a submitter was here on the 4, and Randy's the only one that is not here. And if we do have some edits on his, I will definitely take those back to him so that he is understanding
Aware. Yeah.
and aware of what we've done. Yep, good
Thank
good question. Okay, and then as I mentioned earlier, after we've gone through today, I will probably more than likely tomorrow send out an email to all of the delegates that has the link to this recording, has a link to a ballot, and a link to the written rationales for each, and we will vote. The way that we will vote is that you will have a ballot with all 5 resolutions, and you will give each one of them a number 1 through 5. You can only use each number once. So you're basically ranking the resolutions. 5 is your highest priority. 1 is your lowest priority for submission. And then I will tally all of that up, and the resolutions, the 2 resolutions that have the highest number of points, of the rankings, will go on to state. At the very last minute, though, my co-chairs or my chairs of the other King County district will be looking to make sure that we're not doing any duplication. And if we find that we have some duplication, we will do some last minute shuffling. And as an example, if our number 1 resolution is a duplication of a resolution that's being submitted by another LD, I will pull that out and then take number 3. And again, there is no reason whatsoever to duplicate a submission. It's not going to mean anything if 5 LDs submit the same resolution. It is useless. So I don't want to duplicate. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that? Okay. And the deadline, and we'll go through the dates at the end again, but the deadline will be next, I think I said next Sunday. I can't remember my own deadline. I think it's next Sunday. And then we'll do that tally and then submit on the 25th or by the 25th. Okay. Any process questions before we get started? Okay. All right, so here's our list of resolutions. I'm going to switch over and bring up the actual resolutions. This is the link to the Google file that has all the resolutions that you would have seen before. Let's see if not Ann, my bad. Let's see if Bunny is able to join us to present her resolution. Give me a second.
I am able to join you right now. In fact, this is
Okay.
A good time.
Okay, perfect. So before we roll into this, would it help anyone? I hope that you all already have the links from the emails I've sent. Does anybody need the link to the resolution itself? I am happy to throw it in actually, why don't I just do it? Why am I?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest. Why don't you just do it? Yeah.
All right, so I have given the resolution calling for a Truth and Healing Commission on Indian boarding school deaths of tribal children. Bunny, would you like to give a quick summary? And again, 10 minutes per resolution is our goal.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you've been watching the news at all, you're seeing more and more stories about graveyards, unmarked graves being found at numerous Indian boarding schools across the United States and Canada. Lots of unmarked graves of Indian children who disappeared who were taken from their families to send off to school to civilize them by turning them into little red white people and sever their connection as Native people. And they did a pretty good job of this, either by cutting off hair, forbidding their languages, or by letting them die. This has had a profound multi-generational effect on the tribes. If we agree that our children are the future, they stole the future from the tribes. They stole our heritage. In a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, the Commission on Civil Rights issued a Broken Promises report that talked about the continuing damage that this has impacted. And so they called for a National Day of Remembrance for the victims of Indian boarding schools, where Congress introduced legislation to establish a Truth and Healing Commission on Indian boarding schools, which would seek accountability for the human rights and civil rights violations and the murders of these children. So this resolution would resolve that. We're asking the Democratic Party of the state of Washington to support the establishment of such a commission and other such initiatives and subsequent recommendations to seek accountability and redress for the damages inflicted upon American Indian and Alaska Native tribes and families. This is not an area where we can actually have restorative justice. Sometimes that's not possible. And when it involves murders, nothing short of murder, you can't restore that. But what you can do is demand justice and demand accountability. And that's what I'm asking for. So I'm asking for your support for this resolution. I understand that another LD may have also issued one in support of this. And I'm perfectly happy to yield to them. But in case that one doesn't get through, I'm asking very much for you to help me hold accountable and demand justice for all those tiny bodies in all those unmarked graves in all of those Indian schools around this country. Thank you. I'm not gonna cry now.
Thanks, Bunny. So again, we are going to continue with this resolution, even though another has potentially decided to submit it. We will vote on this resolution. I don't want to take it off the plate until I know for sure it's going to be submitted. Anyone else would you like to ask questions or speak your mind about supporting this resolution?
I will say that this is one of those things that needs to be brought forward. You know, the issues that the Republican Party wants to talk about pale in comparison to this historical injustice. So I have a resolution that I think is important, but this is something that we need to take a position on. And so I will be, well, I'm not sure how I'm going to vote, but this is clearly an issue that needs to be considered, and I hope that it goes before our convention. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. Jennifer.
Thank you. I think all of these resolutions are incredibly important, and I just wanted to comment on Bunny's because it really does tie into larger issues associated with the whitewashing of textbooks in American history in the schools, obviously. The issue is also bigger than, I think, the tragic number of deceased children, because it goes to cultural erasure and also the history of settler colonialism in the United States. I think it's interesting that another LD has also put forth this resolution, and I think it might be something to keep in mind. I also know that Deb Haaland at the federal level is certainly working on a Truth and Healing Commission, similar to the one orchestrated by Nelson Mandela in South Africa. So I echo Anne in recognizing the importance of this. I think we need to look into also the issue of whether or not this is going to be advanced by another LD. And if this resolution is not among the two that we select, to see how we can support Deb Haaland and perhaps encourage Governor Inslee to get on board with a more, I guess, with more recognition and a stronger statement about Native Americans in the state of Washington, who also need to be brought into the larger issue being debated by Deb Haaland at the federal level.
Jennifer. Bunny, do you want to speak for a minute on the caucus that you participate in and the work that they've been doing and how crazy it was to have two different LDs submit this and why that isn't so crazy?
Yeah, I am on the national Democratic National Committee's Native American Caucus. And at one of our recent meetings, we talked about calling for this, and a sample resolution with about, at least a dozen whereases and 5 or 6 therefores were in there. So our resolutions are not exactly the same, but they will cover the same territory, and they will ask for the same thing, which is support for a Truth and Healing Commission on the boarding school deaths of our children. By the way, one of them was the chief of the Spokane. Chief Lott's daughter was among those whose little body was found in an unmarked grave down in Oregon. Many of our Indian children from Washington were sent to Indian schools in Oregon to put more and more distance between them and their families and their tribes.
Thanks, Bunny.
And I hope this is all you need from me, because pretty soon we're going to break. I'm also on the platform committee for the state platform. And by the way, I'm on the Health, Human Services, and Gun Safety pillar. And we're about to finish up our housekeeping here and break into our groups, our pillar groups.
Awesome.
So someone, if you need me again, Carla will ping me. But does anybody have any questions real fast while I'm still here?
Bunny, thanks for your extra work. Bunny is one of those board members who steps up to do 10 times the amount of most. So thank you, Bunny.
Oh, thank you. Carla, you're not one to talk. I swear to God, you, like Hermione in the Harry Potter, you have one of those hourglasses that flips back and forth over, so you actually get about 72 hours in your day because you get that much done.
Oh, thank you. All right. Okay. If no one has anything else, Bunny, you are. Thank you for jumping in at the perfect time, and we'll move on.
Thank you. Good luck to everybody, and I thank you for your support.
Okay. The next up is resolution calling for passage of the Local Journalism Sustainability Act. This is Ann Martin.
Thank you. This isn't the tearjerker that we just had, but I think in terms of being critical to the function of our democracy, this resolution, which calls for the passage of the Local Jurisdiction Sustainability Act, is critical. The First Amendment includes freedom of the press, freedom of speech, and this particular resolution recognizes how important this is to our nation. And when you have a president who calls journalists enemies of the people, not only is it reminiscent of Hitler and the propaganda that came out of Germany in the 1930s and 40s, but it is an attack on our democracy. Maria Cantwell, Senator Maria Cantwell, has been a leader on this issue, and she has reported that 70% of the total revenue that newspapers have had in the past has gone away. It's lost. So in a world where there's a dog-eat-dog situation among media, this represents the potential death of our free press. And as a part of that, over 40,000 journalists have lost their job. Journalists who connect with our communities, who do investigative work, who report on issues that we as citizens can't possibly keep up with. I mean, we have busy lives. So the press is an important part of having an informed electorate. The Local Journalism Sustainability Act that is sponsored by Cantwell uses some creative methods to make sure that it is the people who use the press and not necessarily the media giants who get the tax benefits. In one case, she has proposed, I think it's up to $250 in tax incentive for individuals who subscribe to local newspapers. In another, it's providing pay for journalists so that they can be retained by their newspapers. This resolution would state, thank you, Senator Cantwell, for this work, and urge passage of this act, and that it would be distributed to our members of Congress, specifically the Washington State members of Congress. So if there are questions, I'd be glad to answer them, but I think I've covered most everything.
And my apologies for the tardiness. I just put the link in the chat if you want to go see it yourself. Any questions on this one? All right, Jennifer?
Hi, I don't have any questions per se, but I just wanted to comment on the critical importance of Anne's resolution. And it's one that I really strongly support. I think we're dealing with the livelihood of many communities who are losing their opportunity to present themselves and to represent their constituents. There's, I think, too much reliance on social media, and the recent acquisition, or it's on hold right now, of Twitter by, which I don't use, by Elon Musk is a case in point, I think, of the kind of the denigration of the media, and so much communication has been tabloidized, in my view, and limited to whatever the character count is in Twitter. And I think we need a more fuller development of local stories. It all happens at the local level, which is why we're involved, obviously, as 3/4 LD Democrats here. And furthermore, although this hasn't been highlighted in the United States, certainly abroad, so many journalists have been assassinated for reporting on critical issues all around the world. So I think that going forward, this kind of the information that local reporters can supply is critical to generating, thinking about the other issues that we're raising in our 5 resolutions. It really starts, I think, with the dissemination of legitimate and well-researched information. So thank you, Anne, for putting this together.
Thanks, Jennifer. And Steve.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what I was thinking. Everything that we want to do, stems from, knowledge and that the people in the news industry can verify and present to us, and so without we're watching right now as the fake news out there, Fox and whatnot. They're creating a separate, almost equal set of facts that we have to really counteract. And so yeah, everything stems from this, I think.
Mhm.
And Art.
Can you hear me?
We can.
So the problem I have is with Senator Cantwell's bill, which requires that a person spend at least $127 a year on subscriptions before they will receive any reimbursement. I'm not sure how that would actually work, but I think that it leaves out a lot of people who don't have the funds for those kinds of subscriptions. And for instance, it doesn't cover, for instance, if you subscribe to the Seattle Times, it's $104 per year. So one would have to subscribe to that plus some other newspaper in order to reach the $127 limit or starting lower limit on the subscription. So I'm not a huge fan of the bill itself. So I think it would need some work to bring that down to where it was more affordable to people. I'm also not sure how this tax break is going to work. It seems like it's going to have to go into somebody on, in terms of their income taxes. Is this going to be something then again that because you don't I just paid my taxes, I should know. But if you don't have the income of a certain level, you don't get that. You don't get that those individual deductions. So for that reason, I don't think I'll be voting for this particular amendment. Resolution.
All right, Chris Porter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hardly know where to begin in trying to address the risk we all face if we are not taking active steps to protect our media and the information and the journalists that work so hard to bring us facts. There aren't two sets of facts. There really are just simply facts. And how we get those facts and how we can suss out how important they are in our lives is that the media is unencumbered and able to do that, to do their hardcore work. If we think about the money that we spend on our cell phones and cable, it far exceeds anything in this bill that would allow someone a tax break. And to think that that is the stopping point when we have no quorums whatsoever paying hundreds of dollars a month on cable for thousands of channels none of us will ever watch. It seems almost offensive to call that a stopping point. So I urge people not only to think about what's at stake in this resolution, but also supporting our senator and supporting the intent and the worth of this resolution and move it forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Anyone else have any for or against on this particular resolution? Okay. All right, we will. move on.
I will note that as far as I know, there are no other resolutions of this type with other districts. This was a completely new resolution. So, thank you.
All right, moving on to number 3. I'm gonna do this right now before I forget. Okay. Next one is in chat, resolution declaring and responding to a climate emergency. This is from Catherine. Catherine, would you like to speak to your resolution?
Hi, thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Great. Okay, so I don't think I need to make a strong argument that we're in a global warming crisis. I'm going to go ahead and assume that everyone I'm speaking to is sort of bought in on that concept. In the most recent IPCC report, the panel concluded that in order to hold warming well below 2 degrees Celsius, while we're working to limit it to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels, our global carbon dioxide emissions have to peak by 2025. That's 3 years away. And emissions have to be cut by 30 to 40% by 2030. And we are well off that track. If we continue on our current course, we're on track for about a 3.2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. So that's more than twice what we can afford. But the good news is that existing and soon to mature technologies for reducing that warming and drawing off carbon exist. What the IPCC concluded is that the barriers to our achieving those goals are more social and political than technological. And basically they cite opposition from status quo interests as a blocker of progress. So this resolution calls for Governor Jay Inslee to formally declare a state of climate emergency pursuant to the Stafford Act, which is the federal act that any kind of emergency or disaster is used to declare an emergency or disaster by the state, and it gets the federal government to recognize that disaster and provide resources, usually through FEMA or other agencies. And so if Governor Jay Inslee formally declares a state of emergency, then the Biden administration is on the hook to recognize that emergency. And why this is important is that the Biden administration has not formally recognized the climate crisis as an emergency. There has been legislation put forward at the federal level that has been blocked. And the Biden administration, while I recognize they're in a tough spot with a lot of different factors pushing on this issue from all sides, needs to come out and formally declare that the climate crisis is an emergency in order to help drive change that we need. And so when I look at the different resolutions that have been proposed here, I'm looking at them using sort of 4 lenses. One is the immediacy and severity of the issue and the topic. And all of these resolutions, to me, tick that box. They're all good. They're all important issues and topics and deserving of consideration. The next thing I look at is the scope of the topic of the issue. Is it statewide or federal? And so some of these, to me, tick that box more than others. Then I look at, are there other means or efforts to achieve the goal of the resolution? We have a limited budget, if you will, of resolutions to submit. And so that's where some of the resolutions rise higher in ticking that box for me than others. And then I look at the call for it. Is it tangible and active? And does it have a predicted measurable effect? And that's where some of the resolutions appear to me to be more symbolic in nature, and where the symbol is no less important. I'm looking for a more tangible and active call for. So when I evaluate my own resolution, the declaring and responding to a climate emergency, I'm looking at a resolution that instructs Governor Inslee to take an action that would provide political cover and force the Biden administration to take the position that the climate crisis is an emergency. It would give the Biden administration 123 statutory powers and resources that declare that declaration of emergency unlocks. And it would make those resources available in Washington state for use in mitigating the immediate effects of the climate crisis. So the immediacy and severity of the issue is clear. The scope has a value to both Washington state and as to the country, setting that precedent that the climate crisis is an actual emergency. In terms of other means to achieve the goal, there is no other state legislative tool or effort to achieve this goal, and the federal efforts have failed. And then in terms of an active call for, the call for in this resolution requires the action of one individual, Governor Inslee, who he is already a proponent of climate crisis actions, and he is empowered to take the action. So for me, that call for is tangible and active. So that is the resolution and my argument for supporting it. If anybody would like links to the Stafford Act and it's an explanation of its emergency declaration statutory powers, I can put that in the chat. I also have a link to HR 794, which is the resolution or the bill that was put forward at the federal level that failed. And I have a link to an EPA article around declaring a climate crisis emergency if anyone's interested in that. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. I'm actually going to start the questions. Have any other states gone this route?
Not to my knowledge. I think that people are just starting to look at this as a potential tool to use. And I have not seen anything that has come out of actually doing this yet.
And follow up on that, and apologize if you already spoke to this. Has he publicly or otherwise stated that he would do this or would be open to this?
He being President Biden or Jay Inslee?
Oh, sorry, Inslee.
Not to my knowledge. I have not heard him make any kind of comment on this. To my knowledge, this is the first attempt at putting this idea in front of him.
And sorry, I have all these questions. Is there a particular group or groups that are pushing for this?
The idea is being discussed. And the EPA has, I read an article recently about the EPA putting together this idea to get Biden to declare a climate emergency so that the EPA would have access to more tools. But I have not, I'm active with 350 Seattle and also the state organization, and I have not seen that. I think Bill McKibben may have commented on it in his blog. He's the founder of 350 Global. He may have commented on it in his blog, but I haven't seen any organized efforts to get this done.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for all the questions. I'll go to Rachel next.
Thanks, Carla. And Catherine, my question is, and again, we know that Jay Inslee is a proponent of acknowledging and trying to mitigate the climate emergency. But my question is, and this is a federal hypothesis, if governors of states declare a state of emergency, is that does that automatically get whatever you call it, validated and responded to by the president? Is that an automatic thing, or is there ever a time where a governor declared a state of emergency and the president said, no thanks, or you know what I mean?
Yes, it automatically forces the federal administration to either recognize it as an emergency or not. So they have to, my understanding under the Stafford Act is that the federal government has to respond. But there have been times in the past where a president and an administration has said, nah, we don't think this is an emergency. And that's part of why I think this resolution is so powerful, is that it's forcing the Biden administration to make that declaration or not.
Take a stand. Yeah. Okay, thank you. That was my question.
Rachel? Steve, you're up.
Yeah, I was just kind of looking at the Stafford Act. It seems to be more geared for more acute issues, like flooding or major storm events. Whereas what you're dealing with here with global warming and in the climate change, it's a chronic problem and it's a serious problem. But but I guess what I'm saying is I feel that this resolution is a little overbroad, and where it doesn't really put have any kind of remedy to the issues. You're just kind of throwing it out there and expecting the governor and the president to do something. But what is that? That's something that they should be doing. There's so many inputs into climate change and remedies. This just seems a little overbroad to me. I'm sorry, but that's
Well, I thank you for that comment. And my response would be, what do you think is causing those floods? What do you think is causing the fires? It's global warming is one of the largest causes of these natural disasters. And that's precisely why we need a declaration of the cause of these specific individual disasters.
Yeah, I understand, but what would be your metric, for a solution or a goal or something?
So the goal is to get that declaration and unlock all of the statutory powers and the money for mitigating climate events that the Stafford Act makes possible through agencies like FEMA and others. So it's twofold. One is it's a political goal in terms of getting the federal administration to make that very powerful statement to all of the states. Yes, this is an emergency, and then unlock those statutory powers and funding sources that the Stafford Act makes possible.
Sorry, late getting off mute. I have some dogs that are fighting. Sorry about that. Let's go with Jennifer.
Jennifer, you're muted.
Forgot to unmute. Sorry. Thank you very much, Catherine. This is obviously an issue of global importance. And, the United Nations did recognize global warming, climate change as an emergency. I mean, this is a planetary phenomenon linked to lots of issues. I tend to agree with Steve, I guess. Inslee ran for president on a climate change environmentalist platform. And I think Carla was mentioning a kind of a governor's group that may be able to, congeal a lot of support around this on Biden, who would seem to be a president more amenable to this kind of declaration than any others, which is why it's so important for us to work at a state and local level to elect more Democrats and not to have the disastrous revisit of the GOP. But I'm a little concerned that this larger global issue may, and I support it, but I'm not so sure that state level and local resolutions are the way to go about it. I think it might I think we need to really support issues that are more central to the well-being of our, and I recognize climate change is, but I think we have a governor who is really on board about those issues. But I do think that we need to perhaps direct our focus more to the local and state level rather than the literally the planetary level. Thank you.
All right. Art.
Okay, thank you. Frankly, I think this is a brilliant idea. I think that it would put both Inslee and President Biden under some political pressure that is, directly going to affect how they are able to implement what they promised. And I think that that would be, very effective. There is a section in the Stafford Act that talks about protection of the environment. It says an action which is taken or assistance which is provided pursuant to section blah, 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 including such assistance provided pursuant to the procedures provided by the sections blah, 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 which has the effect of restoring a facility substantially to its condition prior to the disaster or emergency. And so, given that in mind, I think that this could be very effective, both politically and, if successful, would have, a real positive effect around the country. And I think that we do have to look at this at a national level as well as at a state level, because it can only happen. We're only going to affect the climate really when it comes to what we can do nationally and internationally. I'm going to move this up into my top two, and I think that it's I think it's an important policy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Chris Porter. Maybe. Chris, you with us?
I am, Madam Chair. Got to get to that mute button.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll say this, kicking the can down the road. Ever since the issue of, first it was climate change, and I forget what it was called before then, we found clever ways to kick this can down the road. The notion that this is one of the first things that I've seen where it will, although we're cutting the timeline short on it because we're running out of time, stop the kicking the can down the road. The notion that this resolution is not, shouldn't be locally based is, in my opinion, almost preposterous, because as a supervisor of the King Conservation District, I can tell you that locally, I see the effects of climate change, how it parlays out to the county, how it parlays out to the region, the state, across the country. Summers are longer, hot and drier. Our fire season pretty much is our summer season. Our winters are much more colder. It costs people more to stay warm during those months. We have to stop kicking this can down the road. And we've all known that all politics starts locally, and this is where it should start. And we get the push here and we push on. So I urge everyone to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. And Roxanne?
Thank you, everyone, for great comments all the way around. I am in support of this because at the state level, with the loss of life last year and the heat wave, the fires, the floods, and the landslide results of those floods, they're costing this state a lot of money. We're losing lives. So it does affect us locally. And my experience with the state legislature in this last session and the one before is that there's a lot of money convincing them to vote in ways that don't support the people of this state. So I think it is essential on every important topic that we make our voice loudly heard. So I would definitely support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Rachel.
Thank you. I also feel that just looking at the, I agree with the kicking the can down the road idea, because I don't understand if we have been given actual dates by the IPCC by which life on this planet is going to become untenable for human beings and animal life and plant life. The entire ecosystem is at risk here, which is going to be detrimental to our ability to survive on this planet. I also feel that despite the fact that no other states have brought this forward, I think this is an exceptional opportunity for us as a state to be the first. I mean, how amazing of an opportunity is that to pioneer a request, a pressuring kind of a request that that pressures the governor of our state and pressures the president, that actually requires them to take a stand on a situation on this globe right now that is affecting every human being, every animal, every plant and species known to us. I just think this is such an incredibly urgent problem that we are facing, and if we have no other way to do anything about it, and if there is no pressure except by putting them up against the wall to take a stand on this, I think we should do it. And again, I think if Washington is the first state to take a stand on this kind of action, I think other states may follow. If it's successful for us, I think other states will follow. And this is what we need to do. We really need to start a national and international kind of a movement with some solid action. So I agree with this resolution. I just think it is extraordinarily important to act now. We're talking 2030, everybody. I mean, this is not, no, we don't have time at all. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Okay, one last one. Anne? Thanks, Rachel.
Okay, I waited because I've already got the last three that I'm just like, yeah, we need these resolutions. And I'm torn.
Yeah.
So I'm going to suggest, I think that this is part of your thinking, Carla, that if any district does not come up with two, that we, get our bid in to get additional resolutions. Frankly, I've been on this climate thing since since the 70s, when I've worked in transportation, particularly to get cars off the road. But someone said kicking the can down the road. Yeah, we've been doing that. I don't know that this will work, but it certainly is one of the innovative ways that we can say, hey, I don't want to use hold your feet to the fire, because fires seem to be, there's lots of them. And if those fires don't convince our leaders that this is a critical issue, I'm not sure what will. I want to thank Catherine for coming forward with a resolution that is inventive in its strategy. And oh boy, good luck with all of these. Thank you.
It's gonna be a hard vote, folks.
Thanks.
A lot of good stuff here. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next one, unless there's something else on that one. Okay. This one is resolution in favor of publicly owned utilities, replacing privately owned utilities, and in favor of PUDs, incentivizing their users to go green. I do not have a speaker for this one today. This was submitted by Randy from the EELU. I'm wondering if either of our climate activists here today have any knowledge of this and would like to speak to this one.
Carla, can you put the chat?
Yep, working on it. Sorry, I have an elderly dog who's having a very difficult time this morning, so I'm holding dogs and trying to do this at the same time. Just put it in chat. Catherine.
I can speak a little bit about this issue and say that there was, if I recall correctly, something in front of the legislature this past session in front of the state legislature that was a bill that would have allowed public utilities to offer incentives for switching from fossil fuel appliances to electric appliances, and they are not currently allowed to do that. Only consumer-owned PUDs are allowed to do that. And that bill in front of the state legislature did not pass. But the issue there, of course, is that the installation of fossil fuel burning appliances and heating and cooling systems in buildings is a long-term investment. Appliances for their shelf life, but certainly for heating and cooling, those are typically looked at as 30 and 40-year investments. And so everything that we can do to incent homeowners and multi-residential apartment, living space owners to make that transition earlier than the sunsetting of their current heating and cooling equipment leads us in a positive direction. And the fact that PUDs can't offer those kinds of incentives is a real injustice. So I think that is really sort of what's behind this. And it's about empowering those public utility districts.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody have any questions on this one? Okay, that was fast. And finally, resolution in support of Keep Our Care Act. Roxanne, would you like to speak to this?
Carla,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I just couldn't get my mute button fast enough. I did have, this was Randy's one was the one that I had some questions about the technical stuff, but do you want to do all of these first and then go back, or how would you like to do that?
Oh, is this just the sort of grammatical, technical?
Right, it's very technical. It doesn't change anything, but I just needed to clarify a couple things, and there's just a few points that I had questions about. So, but if you want to go through all the resolutions and then go back, or I will defer to how you want to.
Sure. Well, yeah, let's go ahead. I think have good time here, so let's go ahead and do that. So let me get into suggesting mode. Okay.
Okay.
Which section do you?
So again, in the first whereas, it says 27 publicly owned electric utilities and 3 investor-owned serve customers across Washington State. That implied to me that that's all of them. I don't know if there are any others, because when you go 2 whereases down, it says the 5 investor-owned utilities, which also serve other states. Up at the first one, it says 3, and then down in the two whereases later, it says the 5. So I wasn't sure. That doesn't square with me, because
And I don't know that we can really address that. That's
Well, I didn't know if that was a typo when he's talking about the 5, that he
I mean,
meant the 3.
and Randy did not even write this. This came in from EELU. So I don't even know that he could answer that, but
Okay, well, that is one of my questions that I just wanted to get clarity on, so that I understood the language. The second thing is on the first, that be it resolved, is just to call the Washington Democratic Party, not Democrat Party. That was, again, just technical. I don't think that'll change anything.
Nope.
And then the third thing is just the wording of the last be it resolved. We call on the state legislature to pass HB 1767, which failed in the 2022 session, in the 2023 session. I was just wondering if there's a way that we can, for instance, put the sentence in the 2023 session up there to say, we call on the state legislature in the 2023 session to pass HB 1767, which failed in the 2022 session. Does that make
I
sense?
think you mean this.
Yeah. And just put that up
Yeah.
there after we call on the
Yeah.
legislature in the
Pass in before the HB. Actually,
Right.
it may be renumbered, and so the way that you're saying it makes sense, because then the which failed defines that. So,
Right. It doesn't put which failed in the 2022 in the it's awkward if those both go together. So so in the 2023 session would instead go after the state legislature up in the top line. So it would say,
Is that what you mean, Rachel?
we call yes. No, it would go after state legislature. So we call on the state legislature in the 2023 session to pass HB 1767.
oh. Yeah. So I'm not sure that this much detail in the be it further resolved, but it's not a big issue. So.
It's not. It's just a clearer
Yep.
writing of it.
Okay, is there anything else, Rachel, you have? I mean, we can
No,
take
that was it.
offline. I
That was
don't
it.
wanna, okay.
That
perfect.
was it. It was literally
All right,
just,
so really, this is the only true thing we need to follow
that
up
is a
on.
content question.
I
Yeah.
can speak to that if you'd like.
Catherine, go ahead.
Yes, there are 5 investor-owned utilities in Washington State. They are Puget Sound Energy, Avista Utilities, Northwest Natural Gas, Pacific Power, and Cascade Natural Gas.
So should we add those in?
Well, I
No, I don't want to do that to this resolution without the author having,
yeah,
that's-
I don't
that is
think
material.
that you necessarily need to add those in. I think that you can, I think it would not be too far a reach to reconcile the dissonance between the first whereas and the third whereas.
Yeah.
And just replace the 3 with 5.
Okay, great.
All right, I'm gonna make this an edit, but we're gonna have to circle back on
Yeah.
this with the author.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, but it's totally fine if we put it back to Randy to take care of that.
All right, sounds good. Anything else on this one? All right, now going back to Keep Our Care Act. Roxanne, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. The Keep Our Care Act was 2 bills that failed to pass or failed to get very far at all in the legislature last year or this session. And when asked, a state senator told me that they didn't get much of a hearing because the hospital lobby is in control and out of control in Olympia. And when you listen to this, you'll see why that sounds kind of true. 49% of hospitals are faith-based in Washington State. That's the second worst in the US, with Alaska being number 1. It is happening nationwide. It is especially happening in this state. An example of that happened on the Kitsap Peninsula, where our Attorney General found CHI Franciscan in violation of federal antitrust legislation and fined $2.5 million. The Keep Our Care Act would put some controls, some regulations that the Attorney General could use to monitor and assess mergers and acquisitions done by corporate and mostly faith-based corporate institutions. And without those, they're just taking over. What they did in Bremerton is an example of what's happening in Eastern Washington as well. They went in and bought out pretty much almost every single healthcare entity, including Silverdale Harrison and Silverdale Bremerton. And then they did what they've done quite a bit in Eastern Washington. They asked themselves, where's the BIPOC population? Bremerton. Where is the most poverty? Bremerton. They shut that hospital down and promised the people that they would put an emergency department there. They did not. There are no medical services in Bremerton now. They kept Silverdale open and they renamed it St. Michael's. There were 10 mental health beds in St. Michael's, and they're not very profitable. So they removed all of them. There are no mental health beds at St. Michael's in Silverdale. And when asked, I was told by their administration that they refer those patients to Harborview. When asked at the old Highline Hospital, which is now St. Anne's, what do you do since you no longer have mental health beds as well? They said they ask the mental health patients who come to St. Anne's to go outside the front door and have a ride pick them up. It's amazing that these things are happening with our legislature not jumping forward on it. Loss of service is another thing that happens when faith-based corporations take over. Death with dignity is denied. Our state insurance commissioner's brother dealt with that situation. Vasectomies, tubal ligations, and let's see, those are anything that the Catholic Church doesn't agree with. They're looking at moving forward with denying birth control. That's not there yet, but that is the future of it, according to some of the people on the inside of those corporations who have done some leaking. So to compare that with what's happening in the legislature so that you can see that that state senator's statement made a lot of sense. The Narrows Bridge, cost to cross the Narrows Bridge was cut by $1.50 during the last session, and it passed the legislature easily, even though it's going to cost people in the state of Washington millions of dollars to make that up. That passed easily, but something that is denying people access to health care and raising the cost. For example, on the Kitsap Peninsula, when CHI Franciscan went in, they shut down the surgery centers and moved the hip replacements and things done in surgery centers into the hospital. The cost of hip replacement went from $30,000 to $80,000. Then they renamed the surgery centers hospital extensions and kept the cost pretty much the same. Doctors who are dealing with women who are in need of emergency abortions because their life is at stake, they have to submit to an ethics board that can take a week or two to decide whether it's ethically okay to save this woman's life. Several doctors have risked being fired and gone ahead and done what was needed to save the mother's life. So to sum it up, this is happening in Washington state. It's happening across the United States. It's particularly severe in Washington state, and our legislators have let us down. And that's why it is essential that we pass this resolution and get our voices heard at the state level. Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne. Chris Porter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was sure there were a couple of speakers ahead of me, but here we are.
That surprises you every time.
That surprises me every time. How Roxanne has laid that out is one of the best summaries and descriptions of what truly is at risk. We tend to only zero in and laser in on abortion, but it really is a scope of community care that gets taken away from us through backdoor meetings and name changes and consolidations. And then when we all wake up and realize that we have an emergency and you have to drive either to the UW or Harborview to get it taken care of when you live on the other side of the state, then it becomes a problem. Well, now is the time to put the brakes on this. And it is disappointing that many of our legislators failed to come to consensus and agree and push with a majority that this should not happen in this state. So I want to thank Roseanne for beautifully laying that out, that we focus in and we shouldn't, it is important about abortion and women's care services, but the larger picture is a scope of community care that disappears in the middle of the night and we don't realize it until we're in that emergency and we need it. And this is the appropriate resolution, speaking clearly as a nurse, that needs to be supported because life and death hangs in the balance as we move into these uncharted waters of faith-based organizations deciding how community care happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Let's go next with Art.
Okay. I'm going to go back to basics here. The First Amendment of the Constitution, which established religion, and also made clear that the state would not establish religion. It was also came with that the separation of church and state. And these, as it was described by one of our founding fathers, a wall of separation, that where these two should never meet. In other words, religion has no place in the creation of public policy. And so, whether it comes to abortion or any other type of healthcare, as a matter of public policy, religious organizations should not have the ability to govern these actions. It's my body. You can't tell me what to do with it. I am dead against religious organizations using their faith to enforce and inflict their own moral morality on patients who really have no control in those situations. They are basically helpless in the face of whatever the hospital decides to do. So I definitely want to make sure that we, support this bill. I think it's emblematic and important, and we need to get it out there and get support at the state level for this, and put some pressure on our legislature to not just oversee it, but to actually quell this takeover bid and turn it around. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, Art. Well spoken by a male. Rachel, you're next.
Thank you. So I fully agree with the whole precept of this idea that and agree with Art about the separation of church and state, and not having the morality of somebody's religion dictate what we all have to do. I fully agree with that. My question is, have any other LDs put forth a similar resolution on this? Roxanne, that would be a question to you. And then it says to join other states. Have these other states already signed laws which would be in alignment with the sorry, what is the name of this resolution?
Keep our Care Act.
Keeping Our Care Act. Yes. So those are my two questions. Other states, have they already passed laws? And have any other LDs in our state passed similar resolutions to this one?
I'll start with your state question. There are 3 states noted in the resolution that have laws that allow the Attorney General to regulate mergers and acquisitions of healthcare entities. I'm on my phone, so I'm not looking at it, so I can't name the 3 states.
Oregon, Massachusetts, and California.
Thank you very much. And as far as other LDs, early on when we discussed whether other LDs were going to be passing it or not, I sent emails out to people asking, and I got nothing. Well, I got answers back, but no one, everyone who responded to me said that no, it was not going, it wasn't one of the resolutions that they were presenting. So the people that I know who I introduced this resolution to are not taking it forward because they had other things they wanted to get through. So to answer your question, no, as far as I know, this is not being presented by any other LD.
Were there any other LDs that seemed to have some interest in it besides the 34th?
The biggest interest was the ACLU. And other than that, everyone who responded to my questions, I shared it with the Salish Sea Federation of Democratic Women. They were not sending it forward to their LDs.
Okay.
So let me jump in here. I don't know if maybe
To sum it up, as far as I know, no, it is not being put forward by any other LD.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So let me jump in here. I'm showing on my screen now. This is the combined list of LDs who have submitted their initial ideas for resolutions. And the 32nd is the one that I'm specifically speaking to because it does have reference to hospital mergers and also Bunny's resolution about the boarding school situation. So my plan is to, I don't know which where they're going to land. They also have infrastructure bank on here, which is being submitted by at least one other LD. So again, there's a chance, at least for this one and our tribal boarding school, those that might end up being submitted by another LD. Okay, Jennifer. I'll leave it on here in case anybody wants to read through what others are.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to everyone who commented on Roxanne's and the Healthcare Caucus's submission. It's super, super important. I just wanted to add to the concern about religious organizations entering into the healthcare arena. These are supposedly nonprofit organizations in the United States, and they are absolutely targeting the most vulnerable people in communities for their for-profit businesses. I know because I have been dealing with parents in assisted living and memory care, and I can't tell you how expensive it is because of the inadequacy of Medicare and Medicaid facilities. Also, these private religious-based care facilities, anybody can hang on a shingle. Many of them are not even properly licensed, which is another issue we have to address ourselves to deal with. But the staff is low paid. There's a lot of high turnover. So none of those profits are going down to actually support the staff who work at these facilities. And this is in addition to the issues that Roxanne raises in her resolution. So I think it's, this is becoming a very pernicious industry that we need to really devote our attention to. And I certainly support this resolution. Thank you.
And also, thank you, Jennifer, for bringing up the Healthcare Caucus did support this. And so thank you, Jennifer, as being one of the Healthcare Caucus.
And also, we just passed this as a 34th district, same resolution. Ann Martin.
Which was my question. We passed this last week. Is this a strategy to get it before the convention, the state, more quickly, or is there, I'm just trying to figure out. I absolutely support the concept. I voted for it last Wednesday, and I'm just trying to figure out what is happening and why it's being presented at to this body as well. Thank you.
I can respond to that. Thank you for the question. It is being presented here and applauded by the ACLU of Washington State as an absolutely necessary resolution to move forward to get the attention of our legislators at the state level, because at this time, the organization and the voice of the hospital lobby has the attention of our legislators, Democrat and Republican. And unless we as the people start moving these things forward, we're going to be mowed over. Also, the Attorney General is in strong support of this resolution moving forward.
So would our having passed it, I know there were lots of questions about have other districts passed this resolution. In fact, the answer is we did. I'm trying to figure out why we put it this way rather than taking it as we started on to the next level at the state, which I think would be considered in September. Still in time for the next legislative session.
Don't you think that it brings a higher value, higher authority to the resolution if it is held and signed on by the Washington Democratic Party?
Are you speaking to my point or to?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of an obvious reason. We passed it as a district, right? Obviously, we're going to push that forward, speaking as the district. But to me, bringing this to the state level then brings the entire state party out for this resolution. I mean, that would be the reason.
The convention is a different body than the state party, which is where this would normally go. That's fine. I just wanted to ask the question for clarification. That's all. Thank you.
Roxanne, I did not mean to answer for you. What is your thought on that?
Carla, I think you did a great job of answering it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna say, I think Chris and Art have both spoken, maybe not. Oh, no, Art, go ahead. Okay, Chris Porter, do you still have?
Okay, here we go.
Okay, there you go.
So I just wanted to make a point. You said something about another resolution similar to this, but it actually addresses a completely different issue. The 45th talks about, says stop privatizing our Medicare.
That's different. That's the PASAR resolution that we passed 2 months ago. I'm talking about this one right here.
Oh, I thought you meant that there's another one that's been, that is also another resolution similar to this, and I don't know where that is. I don't see
I,
that on this.
I don't have, and actually, let's see if they gave both links here. So if you look on this line right here, line 7,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
you can see hospital mergers. Oh,
Oh, I see, or hospital mergers, if not submitted by native folks or hospital mergers. So I'm
Right.
not sure I understand that. What is that? There's one or, is that one or two resolutions that they're talking about?
so again, this was our prep worksheet of possible resolutions, just like the
Mhm.
34th. You've got 5 here from the 34th, right? Here's ours.
Mhm.
Obviously, we haven't whittled it down to 2 yet. They, the 32nd, have 3 that they're looking at: Truth and Healing
I
and
see.
Infrastructure Bank. I don't know where they're going to land, and I also don't have a link to this hospital mergers
Right.
one.
So I would rather go with something solid that I know that we have here. And it is, I have to tell you, also this initiative for the whole Washington initiative, it started here in the 34th. And I think that we need to, I think we should support that instead of waiting for some other group to maybe put something forward. That's all I got.
Okay. Understandable. I think that is all the hands. Any other points about this last resolution?
I just want to say that I think it's good that our membership supported this as well. This is the only one that where the membership voted for it. That's all.
You are right. Thank you, Steve. All right, anyone else? Okay. Well, let me move on here. Last couple of things. So just a reminder, I am gonna send out, most likely tomorrow, maybe tonight, depends, an email that will have the link to the ballot. Please be sure that you use the 5 for your top priority and the 1 for your lowest priority. I'm also going to send out the recording for those who weren't here today to hear the debate, and then we will have our vote this week. And then I'll be in touch toward the end of next weekend to let you know how the voting goes, and then any results from the collaboration with the other LDs. Any questions about the process, about what's coming up over this next week or so with regards to resolutions? And thank you to all those who submitted resolutions. You might notice on the list that I shared a moment ago, many of the LDs didn't have 5, so it was kind of nice to have 5 to choose from. I think that's a testament to our caucus system, personally. All right, housekeeping. I just want to make everyone aware again that June 11th is the deadline to change from virtual to in-person. As of right now, if you noted back in April that you were going to be virtual, you are not able to change that to in-person. Totally opposite. If you're currently in person on the list, and I don't know why this is, so don't ask why, but they are not allowing anyone at this point in time to change from in-person to virtual. I can't explain that at all, but that's the rule. If you signed up for in-person and have the inability to make it in person, then we have to go to our alternates. And again, I don't know why that is, but that is my understanding of the way that they're doing it. If you are in a virtual status and you would like to change to in-person, you have up until June 11th to make that decision. If anybody has a question on how you signed up, I have the list and I'm happy to look it up. Again, please read your emails from Drew and from myself. Drew has sent one big one out that had the last two bullets here, which I'm going to, let me put them in chat for you. Okay, this gigantic list, sorry, this gigantic link will get you into the state parties. I'll show you what it looks like. We'll go into, let's go one more. Here it is. There is a state party folder, which will have all of the details and documents and all that stuff. Nothing's not a lot is in there right now, but you will need that when you as we get closer, when we start reviewing items that they're sending out. So please check your email box for an email from Drew if you don't get that link that I put in the chat. And then if anyone is planning to stay overnight, there is a hotel list with all sorts of options. And the rooms are kind of filling up. So I would get on that as well. I just did mine yesterday. For those of you who have not been before, which includes me, my understanding is that on Friday, there will be training and other probably sort of breakout workshop-y kind of things going on in the afternoon. And then the business will start early on Saturday morning, and it will be pretty much an all-day affair. Then there is a gala on Saturday night. And there's potentially agenda items on Sunday, but I don't know that for sure because we haven't seen an agenda yet. But that is my understanding of how this flows. So if you want to just go down for the day, obviously Saturday is that day. And certainly, stay for the gala in the evening as well. I'm sure there'll be lots of good networking opportunities and that sort of thing if you're interested. Any questions about anything related to our delegation? All right, Chris Porter.
Not so much related to our delegation, but thank you, did a great job. PCOs are supposed to be signing up to register for election.
Filing. Yep, filing is next week. Yep.
Oh, yes, so we need to get that done. That's all. Just wanted to put that out there for those who remember to do it.
Oh, cool.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you. You're channeling Nick Bonaza, aren't you?
Yes.
And if you're not a PCO but wish to
Yes.
become one,
Yes. We actually have been getting several resignations of PCOs, which is disturbing. So yes, that is totally true. If you're not a PCO, please consider doing that. And if you are interested, PCO at 34thdems.org. Nick would love to have you join the PCO team. And filing opens on Monday morning and it closes at 4 or 4:30 on Friday. If you do not file, you will not be a PCO.
I think it's 4.
4, okay.
It's different in person than
Yes, that's what I was getting mixed up. Exactly.
4:30 if you go in person to rent.
Gotcha. I'm sure everyone's going to go in person to rent it. Rachel, what you got?
I was just wondering, Carla, could you send out that slide that you made that had the thing about the in-person or the changing and the date? Can you just yes, can you send that out like either in an email or something just so that I have that? I've been getting some questions from people about the convention. So I just want to have this and I can just send that.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's awesome. I will include that in the list list of items that I'll email out tomorrow. So everybody has it.
Thank you.
Good, that's a good call. Thank you. Steve Butts.
Yeah, this is just a good of the order thing. We're having a cleanup party, a work party on our adopted street, which is 16th Avenue Southwest. It's coming Saturday at 1 p.m. It usually takes about 2 hours to do that, and then we go out afterwards and have a drink or something. And we're going to meet up at the corner of Roxbury and 16th. Right at that corner, that triangular park there by the Max Tavern. So
Awesome.
that's next Saturday, 1 p.m.
Awesome, thank you. And I'll get those details out in the weekly email this week as well.
Great, thank you.
Steve, yeah, absolutely. I will be there myself and look
Cool.
forward to wearing the neon jacket.
Yep. we'll have all the materials, gloves and whatnot. So
Exactly. Art?
Yeah, I have a question for you, Carla. And we record these meetings, and I'm wondering how we can make how they could be available to us. How can we go back and review a recorded meeting?
I will include the link to the recording, which will be loaded up to YouTube, and I will put that in the email I send out tomorrow.
Okay, great. And so we had a candidate forum the beginning of our last meeting, and that was recorded separately from the meeting. Is
Correct.
that also available on YouTube?
Yes, it is.
Great, thank you very much.
Yep. I post those on Facebook. That went up yesterday.
What time?
And I will put that in that link in the email that goes out today as well.
Great.
But you can
Thank you
always
so much.
just look at our channel, and all of that stuff is right there. And if you subscribe to our channel, you'll get an email every time I put something new up.
Okay, I'll make sure of that. Great. Thanks.
All right, and Chris, are you?
Madam Chair, I forgot to, when you said about the hotels and why you could switch from in-person to virtual.
Yep.
Yes, so it's our discount state party is based on a guaranteed number of people who take rooms. So if that number begins to drop, then the discount goes away. And it's really expensive too, to take a room at that hotel without that discount. And if we can't guarantee a certain level of occupancy, the rooms that they requested, they'll either have to pay the expanded rate or lose the room for that. So that's what they were afraid of, is if people switch from in-person to virtual, the discount might go away and we might lose certain spaces for meetings because we're telling them that not that many people are going to show.
Got it. That explains the June 11th deadline, but I still am confused as why, if you're in person, you can't change to virtual. Oh, I guess you'd be canceling your hotel. Okay, maybe.
Yes,
I don't know.
it's
Is
possible.
everybody
Yes.
getting a hotel? Like, I think a lot of people are, at least from our side, are going down for the day. Anyway, whatever. I get it. If I were organizing that monster event, I would probably want that to be the case too. I get it. All right. Anyone else? I think I've got everybody. And we pretty much well, we're early. Okay, I'll give it that. We're about 20 minutes early. So I'm going to give you 20 minutes back. Again, look for the email tomorrow with all the goods. And thank you for joining today. I appreciate your time and your interest in doing this work. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
day.
Everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for
Thanks,
your
Carla.
great
Bye, everyone. Bye.
arguments.
Thank you.